So, Community Day. Oh, the irony. Welcome, mages. So, why is Community Day so ironic? Well, we are going to spill the tea in a few minutes. So, this one is rather polarizing. There are lots of strong views on this one. So, we're going to look at Community Day as advertised first, and then we're going to move on to spilling the tea. And in regards to the tea, I am going to try and cover 4 points of view to try and be slightly objective. Okay. So, we're going to look at the views from the players' views. We're going to look at it from sponsors' views. We look at it from Niantic and WB, and we look at it from like community reps, so YouTubers and people like Wizards Unite Hub and Wizards Unite World. So we're going to look at it from different views. Oh, and Jibs Entertainment and stuff like that. So Community Day itself, I actually enjoyed this one as a day. The day was sunny, and in my area, which is around about 20,000 population, we still haven't actually got a group together. We've got 7 people on our Facebook group page, but none of them actually come out on Community Day. So I'm still working on them. So it was kind of me and my wife. We went into town and we sat at the coffee shop and nicely farming the much needed time turners. And we also had the weird bittersweet energy rewards from inns. I don't think anyone else got this. I'm trying to work out if the Europe, like Africa or Europe region, was the only one that actually had this weird experiment. But pumpkin juice gave 10 energy. But then they replaced most of the pumpkin juice with cauldrons, which only gave 3 energy. So it's kind of like, it was very strange. It was like having, I don't know, it just gave more turkey dinners. I don't understand why they did that really weirdness. But I really liked pumpkin juice for a while. So it felt like a bit like a bait and switch. But saying that, I did cap energy. So there was more energy around on the whole, but it just felt kind of weird. So when we were told about the enhanced spawns, we kind of thought in our own minds. So things like the time turners and wizard clocks were all going to be enhanced onto the same level. But that wasn't what happened. What actually happened is they were reversed enhanced. So the more rare things like the time turner was like super popular. And the things which are, I get a fair amount of Weasley clocks, they were enhanced slightly. Which is fine, because I can see this from 2 different points of view, right? Yes, it would be nice to prestige the page in one easy sweep, but then it can be too easy to prestige pages. You don't want to do that. So you don't want people to go silver gold in that one day, and then that's it. They've completed like all those pages, which is the reason why other things weren't enhanced, and I think that's the reason why it's spread out a bit, so it would help you significantly in some areas, but not actually allow you to prestige all the way up to gold. Because as a player, I would like to do that, but obviously, being objective, it makes sense not to give everybody everything on Community Day, which is why I suggest having Community Day only registries pages. But anyway, that's a whole other video. What they really should have done is Niantic really should have said we're just going to boost the necklaces and some other spawns. That way, you would have got the idea that the necklaces would be boosted and some other things would be enhanced. So just a little tiny turn of phrase in announcements would be beneficial. Now, we say only those were boosted, but because the necklaces were severe foundables, we got loads of XP. And then we've got loads of rune stones, which is extremely handy. So then I could hit the fortress the day after, which I did do, and I managed to get a load of other foundables for those pages. So it actually had like the primary Community Day stuff, and then kind of had secondary, which is the runestone rewards you got, which you could then use to get lesser foundables or more rare foundables you only get in fortresses. So it kind of had like a 2-tier reward, which was kind of nice, and it wasn't really obvious until you got to the following day and thought, oh, I have all these runestones. I can do all these fortress runs. The potion brewing was awesome. I think they may have heard us saying, because I certainly know myself, and I certainly know the Wizard's Guide was saying that, that the reduction in time wasn't enough that they advertised. But it appears that the reduction was double what they advertised. So that was extremely useful. and we were getting, like, I had a gold cauldron running, so I was getting 2 extreme reloads every 15 minutes, which was very nice. I mean, of course, I burnt through them very quickly, but then I also had a lot of stock when I started as well, because we knew the event was coming. So yes, I did burn through the strong extreme reloads very quickly, and then it became very apparent how hard it was to catch the time turners after that. Though when you think about it, if you wanted to get all the time turners for that page, you could have done with the extreme reload potions before they ran out. So really, at the point where you're struggling to get the time turners, you're at the point of where you're just kind of grinding for the sake of it, to get the family XP, to get the runestones. So, you know, it did its job, I think, the potions. So, okay, so now we're going to move on to Fortress Gate. Niantic / WB, not quite sure who it was, but they did pretty much exactly the wrong thing to annoy literally everybody. This is what happened. So sponsored fortresses during the community day window had their challenge XP boosted to double, and Niantic / WB didn't tell anyone about it. A lot of people were saying, why? Is it Easter eggs? Or was it an experiment? No, it was neither of those things. Just to be clear, I am not sponsored. I don't have any partnership. They don't even like my tweets, so I'm under no obligation. But I have heard some things on the grapevine from people which were closer to what was actually happening. So I can tell you freedom of the press. So what actually happened was Niantic / WB reached out to YouTubers and community leaders and asked their opinions on this feature of having double challenge XP in sponsor fortresses. Now these guys actually have NDA agreements. So these community reps, I think quite rightly, represented the people in saying that it's going to pretty much alienate anyone outside of the US who don't have sponsored fortresses. I think South Korea has sponsored fortresses. And also people like in the US who are nowhere near, say, a Simon Moore. Now, allegedly, Niantic and WB, their idea to solve the problem was to release it anyway, but then also actively enforce the NDA against the community that they were asking, to say you're not allowed to tell anybody that this feature's coming out. So it kind of looks like Niantic and WB went to the sponsors first, said, oh, we're going to do this to boost you, and then asked the community. Which, why would you do it that way around? You surely should ask the community first if this is a good idea to go to the sponsors with this idea, and that way you won't end up in this right mess, would you? So that's probably the worst possible thing they could have done. Because, well, let's look at the points of view, right? So, the players. So, me and you, because I am not # sponsored. So this annoyed all the players in the United States, who'd of course like to have known that their local sponsor fortresses were giving out double challenge XP, because they would have done the event and gone there and, you know, been around the sponsors and everything, getting the double XP. This annoyed literally everybody else, because they couldn't get to sponsor fortresses because they didn't have any in their countries, so it annoyed them as well. And also annoyed people in the United States that didn't have access to sponsor fortresses. So they pretty much annoyed the entire player base. So the community reps, so the YouTubers, which have NDA agreements and stuff with Niantic, and the other community like blog pages, this annoyed them as well, because they were effectively gagged and ignored. So instead of taking on board their feedback, they were like, thanks for your feedback, we're not going to do it. Oh, by the way, you're not allowed to tell anybody this actually happened, allegedly. So not only were their views not heard, they were actually told to shut up, allegedly. Sponsors, their point of view. If I was a sponsor and I paid money for fortresses in my area, and I was told that they're going to give double challenge XP and expect to see people coming to play because that would draw them to my shop or whatever, I would be annoyed because there was no publisher. They didn't publish any information about it. How were people supposed to know? You promised me something, but then you don't tell anyone about it. If you imagine you had a shop, right, that made wands and Harry Potter memorabilia, for example, and you paid for a sponsored fortress outside the front of your shop, you would expect that fortress to encourage people to come and hang around that area and think, maybe I should get myself a new wand or whatever from this shop. So you would expect to see some footfall in for your money. So you spend money and you get reward back as a sponsor, right? Except they didn't tell anybody. So I imagine the sponsors are pretty annoyed that they're not getting any footfall. Now, I also have a funny feeling that Niantic and WB promised them all this foot traffic when the game was launched, and they're not seeing it, and I imagine they're getting a bit annoyed. They're not getting a return on investment. So I think Niantic and WB were getting stuck between a rock and a hard place. Which brings me on to possibly Niantic and WB's point of view. Of course, I have no inside information on this, but I am going on what I think. Apart from the fact that someone told me that Niantic and WB did go to the sponsors before they went to the community, so the stupid way round. I mean, it makes sense because it would explain their really crazy position on this. So it looks like they did promise the sponsors that they were going to do this thing before actually realizing that it wasn't going to be well received. So they literally shot themselves in the foot. Okay, so figuratively shot themselves in the foot. It's not like me to leave and not have a possible solution that I have thought about. This is why it took me so long to do this video. So, bearing in mind this is before 2.4.0 came out, I wrote this. Dear Niantic/WB, here is a list of touchy subjects you need to be careful with. 1. Red books. 2. Challenge XP, because you get red books. 3. Energy. 4. Departure rates. And 5. The non-existent storyline. These are the things you have to be really careful about and need to concentrate on, but for God's sake, please ask the community first. You can have this for free, Niantic. Here is an idea. Sponsor fortresses. Now, when you complete a sponsor fortress, you can get a portmanteau. And this portmanteau will be like a 10-kilometer portmanteau, but will only take 1 kilometer to walk. So, for anyone playing in the area, it's worth going to a sponsor fortress because you can get decent portmanteaus. And the reason for having portmanteaus is that the rewards from those portmanteaus are kind of fairly distributed. So they're ingredients. You might get the odd foundable, normal XP, or the family XP. Those ones that people aren't too fussed about, but I love getting a 10k key. I would love to get a 10k key. It took 1k to walk. So if there was a sponsored fortress nearby me, I would definitely go to it to get a 1k, 10k key. Another thing about using Portkeys is we have a maximum of 8 slots. So people can't get ridiculous amounts of rewards. You only get 8 Portkeys worth. And that will encourage, 1, people not to go crazy and outpace everybody and annoy everybody and like challenge XP and get like 20, 30 red books. And 2, it encouraged them to come back next time because they would have had their fill. Or they would have had their fill, gone around, done some walking, and then come back again. But you only have a 3-hour window, so that's the idea, is you get a fair amount of reward. It is capped at your 8 Portkey limit. And next time is a community day, fortress style. You can go to that fortress, and you'll know you'll get those rewards. So yes. Niantic WB, 10k Portkeys with 1k walking distance, I think personally is probably the best idea. If you obviously not, most people aren't Niantic WB, so let me know in the comments below or what you think of this idea as a replacement for double challenge XP. So hopefully this is not like a rant video. This is kind of like I'm trying to represent all points of view. I was disappointed. I did throw my toys at the pram about it, but it was a little bit disappointing when I heard in the end. But you kind of see what they're trying to do, but please ask the community first. So yeah, let me know in the comments below what you think of the portmanteau idea. Let me know what you think of the whole crazy debacle on about this, but please be constructive if possible. And also let me know any other countries that have sponsored ins other than the US or South Korea, because I can't remember. I swear there's another one. I know the UK only has sponsored ins. I've only ever seen sponsored ins. So on that weird note, don't forget to subscribe to me on Twitter at the Zealman, and get your ones ready. Brush up on your spells, wizard unite.